Welcome back to another episode of Who Should You Choose, the video series where I go through the prior videos, questions, and comments, and help you with your HUT lineup decisions. Yesterday, we talked a little bit about team of the season and preparing for it and all of that. Not really sure what to expect. And I do expect the team of the season, if it's not this week, it has to be very, very soon, just simply because we're getting to the end of the NHL regular season. And I would have to assume that there would be a playoff event as well, and hopefully it's something like the fantasy event. I have some pretty big faith that, given how the World Juniors is gone, and even the Four Nations face-off, that they will do a fantasy-style playoff event, which I think is absolutely the way to go. To be honest, I would release like 4 players from every single team and just let us make every single card that we want. I think that would be awesome. It gets everyone involved for the playoffs, especially if you don't have a horse in the race like myself as a Sharks fan. I do enjoy the Leafs, but I'm not really invested all that much, and not to mention the Leafs will be knocked out in the first round. So having players that you feel strongly on teams that will go the longest, I think would be an awesome way to do the playoff event. I found that the playoff event that the prior content team did, so the last like 3 or 4 years, was actually really weak. It was one of the, I don't want to say worst events, simply because all they did was give cards that would go up, for every win that team had, but it was just long, boring, and kind of drawn out. It definitely needs a shakeup, and I hope that they lean into the fantasy aspect of it. We'll have to wait and see, but I do anticipate that team of the season is definitely coming again, just based on, I believe it came out in March last year. So I would anticipate that it is coming very shortly. So that being said, let's get into yesterday's comments and see where we're at. Can I make this one bigger? Let's see. Can we go one bigger? Yeah, here we go. Gray says, "Hey, Sleeve, somehow I got 10 wins in Hut Champs with 5 games to go, but decided to switch to Cornerstone Objectives since I am after the 93 Elites. You're a Rangers fan. Question is, if this happens again, should I spend my time to see how many extra wins I get or switch to something else? Fellow dad here, so I can't play for 1,000 hours a week. Thanks." So, from my experience, like I said, I'm very risk adverse. I've gotten to the 10 wins just because even if I'm not into the card, I could at least use that card for future trade-ins, right? Now that's meant less and less, but it is during team of the season, for example, where you need guaranteed cards. That is a week where I would definitely go for the 10 wins. Continuing on, again with limited time, you probably did the right way here because, again, you might get a pack or two, but you're not guaranteed to pull anything, right? At least if you're completing objectives, you're working towards things that you know you're going to get. I will always kind of preach to go after the eliminating as much of the gambling or randomness as you can in Ultimate Team, because I understand that your time is very limited. So is mine, right? So we've got James. He says, "I lucked out and I made the 92 Weber and it gave me the 93." For anyone that doesn't know, there was an error early on when the new cornerstones dropped, and Weber, for whatever reason, when someone made the 92, it gave the 93. So they didn't do any sort of adjustment. I thought they would just revert it, but nope, they just left it. It looks like so. I have enough to make a 92, but no point as I only ever wanted 93 Weber. Been done the XP pack for a few weeks as well, so game is kind of chalk for me until team of the season. I started playing Hut for first time around team of the year, but didn't even understand sets until the next event. Coming in not knowing anything, the interface and lack of communication in the game on how everything works is insanely bad. This has been like something that I've been preaching for quite some time, and it's probably why I still have a following. Is that there just is. If you were to take, I always give this example. Like if I were to be like, okay, if I sat my wife down and I'm like, hey, make a master set player item, how long would that take someone that's never played the game to figure out how to actually do? Right, the game isn't very front facing, and they do have banners and things like that. But it is very confusing because the interface is hidden behind sets and other layers, right? And yeah, just it's not very forward thinking in that sense. I would love it if every week they had a creator. I would love to do it, but it doesn't have to be me. Any creator that literally just sat down and said, okay, or a developer sat down and said, okay, here is what we've done for the event. We've got these cards. This is why we picked these master set player items. I would love to hear context as to why. I made this example with the sharpshooters event. A lot of people were like, why are these guys considered sharpshooters? I would love it if the devs are like, well, Vince Dunn had a 47% shooting percentage and actually led players in an analytical stat inside the slot. Something, you guys get what I'm saying at, right? Like, so it would be interesting to hear the context as to why those players were picked. And then I would love to hear from a developer standpoint where they intend for everyone to go. So it's like, does the content team actually want you to go into Team of the Week and upgrade Team of the Week cards? So now you've got 85s, and now you can use those 85s into the event, and so on and so forth. I would really love to hear from them what their actual flow is intended, as opposed to us where we just, okay, sit there for an hour. I sit there with everyone in my Twitch chat. I'm like, okay, what are they trying to do here? And we go through everything, and we're like, okay, I think this is it. And then I make the video, and then that's, kind of how we get it, right? And other creators do the same thing, right? Like that's really why I'd say our most valuable, like how we're most valuable, I guess, in that sense, is to just explain how the game works. So I'm in agreement with you there. Also, way to be on the 93 Weber. This year this is the year to always trade up, including especially the Team of the Week sets. That's what it looks like in terms of how they're intending the content to be released. It's like you have 82s, turn them into 83s. You got 83s, turn 85s. The issue is that they skip overalls. Every overall needs a value. You can't have 85s and they go to 87s. I would have loved to see this year if they didn't switch away from the collectible format. The collectible format was not the best. It was kind of convoluted. You traded in cards, and you got X amount of collectibles based on the overalls of cards that you traded in. But I would have loved to see how this year would have gone in terms of just general perception, value of cards, if they just left that alone for events. So 86s have no value, but imagine imagine they did, and they had more collectibles given to you than 85s, right? And you use those collectibles to trade in. I just think that I would have loved to see what would have the year would have been like with that one change. Can't wait for 99 Hudson cards. Sorry, sleeves, you'll have to settle for the 96 Celebrini. I will eat the L on that. I'm nothing but not self-aware. I can take the L. As of right now, Hudson is running away with things. I actually got to interview his brothers on Let's Go Hockey, the Amazon show I do every Monday on Twitch Sports. We actually got to interview, me, myself, and Pete, my co-host, got to interview Cole and Quinn Hudson. They are awesome, by the way. Yeah, just because I think and wanted Celebrini to win doesn't mean that I think Hudson is bad. It is simply just, he's having a great year. And Celebrini, he would have to have 10 points in 3 games to get back into the conversation. And he's struggling a little bit because the team basically fractured any good players around him. So it's all him. He's going through a bit of a Bedard thing, except he's excelling defensively still. It just all teams are focusing on him. And as an 18-year-old, it's pretty tough to do. So it looks like I'm going to get that 96. Hey, Sleeves, I've been saving my XP collectibles for Team of the Season, and I'm not sure which choice pack I should do. Either the 81 plus for 2 collectibles, 83 plus for 5, or 85 plus for 10. Let me know which set option is the best. I think I have 130 XP collectibles. Thanks. Keep it up. So for this, man, one of the things I'm not really understanding is I would have thought they would have wanted a new XP path to drop for Team of the Season. It just would have been clean and make sense. So that's like one of the things that I'm curious about, is maybe they're not doing Team of the Season simply because the XP path starts next week. So I'm not sure, but if it drops on Friday, you have the luxury of just waiting and seeing, right? So we'll wait on Friday, see if we get it, and then we'll know exactly what would be the best in your situation. Scorp says once Ovi breaks the record, they shouldn't just put out like a 94 milestone card. I think it should be a full art free card that you can either do moments or get or make a challenge to get 895 goals in either online or superstar squad battles. So not an easy card to get and make it 99. They should give us a 99 overall Titan Alex Ovechkin that is very difficult to earn via moments, but also has like the collectible trade-ins so that if you can't finish the moments, you can still get him. That is a perfect card to make, for that moment specifically. The other thing, what they should have done is once he got to like 85, like once he got within 15 goals, they should have released an 85 overall fantasy card that we all just got. That would have been the best way because then we're just fired up for Alex Ovechkin every game outside of just wanting to see the record broken. So. Hey, Slaves, thank you for your content, your dedication. All of us greatly appreciate it. I had a lineup question, and any advice that you have would be greatly appreciated. Right now, I have the ability to make 192 Cornerstone player, and I have a decent collection with over 1,000,000 coins. I was thinking about Nash because I think my third line needs a shakeup because it hasn't felt good, as I could move Fantilli to center and Aguila down to the fourth line. I could also shake up my D a bit with Weber or Leach. Should I make it MSP or should I save everything for team of the season? My top six also has played really well for me, so I don't want to split those lines up. So looking at your team, you've got Guerin, Crosby, McKinnon, Kyrou, Madonna, Kachuk, Aguila, Lemieux, Fantilli, and then on defense, you've got X Factor, Fox, Sanderson, Letang, Harley, Drysdale, and Tate. So you definitely need an upgrade on defense. You do need an upgrade on defense. But it's tough to recommend. I would go with Weber. Here's the thing with team of the season that I'm struggling with. They don't upgrade these players. Like they don't regularly upgrade them. Are they going to go way out of their way to make sure that they're not? You know what? I would just hold on. Just hold on for team of the season. I think we're really close to it. How do they not have a storage set? I think that they don't have a way to put it in because the B&D cards broke sets. And I don't know because there's no excuse for it. I don't understand. And again, I don't want to say they don't have the resources to put that in. What I mean by that would be they have X amount of developers. It would take a developer 3 weeks to fix whatever it is. That's 3 weeks of that developer not working on the next year's game. It's one of the main issues that year-round sports games have, especially one that's small like NHL. It sucks. It's not fair to the consumer, but I think that's just the reality of the situation. They know the storage set not being there. It's brutal. We said it the launch day of the game. I got bored of NHL with this Cornerstones event, decided to try out MLB. I played it a few years back, and I've watched all your videos that you've done over MLB. Was wondering if you'd consider doing a Who Should You Choose style video for MLB. I know I could use it. Obviously, it would be less consistent, but I think a lot of people would enjoy it. These videos are very, obviously, low production. They're very quick for me to do, and I know I have majority of my fan base or viewer base enjoys the topic of NHL. I don't know if I have the same enough of a following to do like a daily or even couple days a week video on that. For MLB, I just want to make it very broad info type videos, tips, things like that. I'm working on my hitting tips video. But if you ever have any questions about MLB, things like that, always come to my Twitch chat or NHL, guys. You don't have to wait for Who Should You Choose. Come to my Twitch chat. I'm live at 2 p.m. every single day, Eastern time, and I'll be happy to answer your question right there. Hey, Slaves, I'm mostly an offline player, and I'm not sure what to do with my team. I have no money spent and a Leafs fan from Nova Scotia, which is why I went after Crosby. I can make one gallery of greats player, and I'm sitting on a vintage. I'm assuming you mean Cornerstone. I'm praying for a Matthews Masters head soon. Love the vids. He's got Nylander, Fantilli, McDavid, Thomas, Zetterberg, and Larkin. McKinnon, Crosby, Rantanen, Boyle, Sanders. So a lot of warp speed guys. I can make one Cornerstone item. It would be a center, probably. Sundin would be sick on the team. I think Sundin's card is also like kind of underrated. I think it's awesome. Just as a center, like they don't need to be super fast. And he has great faceoffs and good size. I think he'd just be a really fun card. But again, this event there's no must makes at all. If you just wait for the next event, you're probably going to enjoy that more. Lineup question. Hey, Slaves, appreciate all the work you do for the community. Just looking for a little help. At this point of the year, I want to build a Leaf Sharks alumni-themed team. 90s guy here. I made Sundin, Marlowe, and Weber from this event. Okay, I don't know the Weber part fits in there. I'm wondering if I should trade in Weber and with Marlowe to upgrade. Oh, it upgraded the 93 Marlowe is my right. These are Warp Speed Boyle and Team of the Year Makar. Weber would replacing ASP. Just wondering your thoughts on this. If you're making a theme team, yeah, man, get Weber out of there, man. He ain't one of those. Go get Marlowe. If Hollows and X Factors and really year-long chase cards stay the same next year, I honestly think that the only value for them would be people building theme teams, which would be great, but they seem to consistently ignore a lot of teams and pump out the same player from the same team. I understand that McDavid's and McCarrs are going to get more cards because they are the best, but McDavid hasn't gotten an upgrade since Four Nations. Hughes only recently got his first upgrade. As a Kings fan, most years it's frustrating because they release the same 3 to 4 players all the time. It gives me very little options to make a team. I'm with you on this. They need, because they only release content 3 days a week, and I don't think that that 3 days a week thing is an issue. If they release enough content throughout the week, they need to find a way, whether it's programs or some massive content drop every start of every season, let's say, where they can give out like 5 cards for every team. They need to figure out a way to do that because the year-long progression to make a theme team is just, it's really not there. It has got to be one of the worst games to try and make a theme team for. With all respect, you said last year was a test as well. Why am I paying for betas? I love the game. I don't complain much as it is what it is. However, that's not a valid excuse 2 years in a row, especially when most of the game hasn't changed in menus, controls, animations. I don't know. I'd have to go back and check the tape. If you know the video or something that you're referencing specifically when it comes to mentioning that last year was a test as well, I remember NHL 23 and saying that was a burn year. You could tell it because the easiest way to tell it, guys, is when they don't do live updates, right? So with gameplay in NHL 23, it was a full-blown thing, and they even mentioned it at the start of NHL 24 that they released NHL 23, and they were like, okay, we need to work on 24. 23 is what it is. And it was one of the worst games that we've ever gotten, in my opinion. All they did was put in crossplay. Crossplay was busted for PlayStation players. We got pretty hosed with it. And they had the glitch wrap that they just didn't patch because they were just done. It was a test run. I don't know. The new content team took over, I want to say like at the beginning or maybe even the middle of 24. So if I mentioned that it was like a test then, I guess in that sense it was. But the overhaul they did of content this year, there was no XP path last year. There was no test of an XP path, nothing like that. And that's why I say that this year they're just collecting data because now they have this tech. I don't expect a crazy overhaul of HUT. I think this year coming in HUT, we're going to get very little in terms of the only thing I hope for is new menus. But outside of that, I don't anticipate a new mode or anything changing in terms of how the content is delivered. I expect it to be very similar, but maybe the XP path and all the sets that they release and how the events work, they have data from this year that they can see. And I'm not talking about like on forums and stuff like that. I'm talking about the numbers of times people have completed every single set. They can see that. We can't see that, right? So they know that, okay, no one's making team builders. Are we going to make team builders then again next year? Who knows, right? Like, or do they go, hey, it didn't work this year. Let's go back to what it was last year. You know what I mean? Like, give them free abilities, something like that. X Factors. No one made X Factors in season 2. Okay, so then maybe we need to not do it in seasons. Make it every team gets an X Factor at the start of the season like it was before. Like those kinds of things we're just not seeing. But I meant was the gameplay overhaul. Like that was the big one in that sense, not the content structure. So I apologize. But again, if you have a video of clip of me saying it, I'll eat it. Maybe slightly off topic, but I have 9884 overall cards. I think that competitive rewards are worse than they seem. Just finished 30 online wins, was off of work for a couple of days, and I got my 880 plus reward pack. It contained 188, 185, and 684s. 84s are now on the same level as an 81 overall card, meaning the only thing I'd be able to do with an 84 is to put it in a 381 team of the week set, make an 83 team of the week, and build up from there. I know you've kind of defended these rewards in the past, but they are just brutal now, especially to someone who finished the season. They are the reward of getting, or the, how do I say this? Getting to 30 wins to get the best rivals pack is far better than what we got in prior years, in the sense of you had to get into the top 15% of your division. Like that format is better. Just getting a blanket 30 wins in whatever division you're in, you get the pack. The issue is that we don't get to choose between the amount of packs. Like we don't get to choose if it's untradeable or tradable like we did last year. We got an onslaught of packs every Wednesday, but getting into that top ultimate shouldn't have been based on the 15% of the player base that got in there, because those were all players that just couldn't know life the game and all of that. It didn't really depend on getting 30 wins is a better way to go about it. It's still exceptional. It's way too much. I don't think the rewards meet the time demand 100%. I do like that they're tradable, but you should definitely be getting more for those 30 wins. I don't know. Again, this is the major issue with not having a collectible set. They need to implement a collectible set or something to make every overall matter. That is one of the biggest misses that the content team has had this year. That is going to do it for today's episode of Who Should You Choose. I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Have a good one.